All right, hello there. Welcome back to my chapter book review. My name is Robin Norgren, and I am reviewing chapter books for pre-K up to fourth grade and giving you my thoughts on whether or not they are a good fit for your child's age group. All right, so of course, many of us are familiar with the Junie B. Jones series by Barbara Park, one of my all-time favorite series, right? So we follow Junie B. Jones. I believe she starts in kindergarten, and then I believe the series goes into first grade. So there are at least 35, and I want to say 40 books in this series. So if this is a series that your child loves, they are going to have hours of fun with this series, okay? So this it has a reading level of second grade, and I would say that's about the right setting for this book. But I would say that third graders would love to read this book and probably could read it with ease on their own. Now, we do want to keep in mind that this is the story of the world's funniest kindergartner. And that being said, is that it is coming as a first-person narrative from the mind and the heart of a kindergartner. So we definitely have to, again, for those younger children, pay attention to what it is that she's saying, because it will offer you some conversation to have. Now, is that appropriate for somebody this age to be doing? Or at what age should someone be doing something like this? Very important conversations to be having, because again, our children tend to internalize that if they've heard that someone this age can do this, perhaps this is something that it is okay for them to do, right? So this, again, is a chapter book. This book is called Junie B. Jones is a Beauty Shop Guy. There are a total of 9 chapters in this book. There is a grand total of 67 pages. And I believe in the back of this one, this is not always the case. But yeah, there actually is a glossary in the back of this particular edition of Junie B. Jones, which, as you might have heard in another book that I reviewed, there was a glossary back there. And it's not an all-inclusive glossary, but it kind of gives them a sense of how to look things up in a dictionary-style format, which is actually very nice. Because as you've heard from me many, many, many times, when children are reading, they should have a dictionary nearby so that you could learn have them learning vocabulary right along with their reading, so they can absorb that as well and start to build their vocabulary, so that one day when they start the writing process, they've got a lot to draw from the vocabulary well. So again, this is 67 pages. There are 9 chapters. It's part of a series. It is in first-person narrative, and so next I talk about the word to picture ratio. And again, this is very nice. Not too many pictures. And when there is a picture, it is definitely giving you a sense of what is going on in the story, but not so much that you don't have to use your context clues to figure out what's going on. Now, if you have never heard of Junie B. Jones, you are in for a delight. And let me give you an example why. Now, I will say this. If you are a parent or a teacher that doesn't necessarily like to hear when words are being used improperly, this, again, because we're talking about this, the narrator in this story is a kindergartner, there's going to be many times that they're not necessarily using the words in the proper context. So again, I think it's a fun way to have these conversations to help children understand how to put them in the right context. So it actually is a nice way to do it, because we do need to be practicing that. But here's a few words from chapter 1. It's called My Brand New Different Name. And I believe, I'm pretty sure, about 95% sure, that every one of the stories starts like this. My name is Junie B. Jones, and the B stands for Beatrice, except I don't like Beatrice. I just like B, and that's all. Only guess what? That doesn't even matter anymore, because I'm changing my name to a brand new different name. It popped right into my head when I waked up this morning. That's how come I jumped out of bed and I zoomed to the kitchen to tell Mother and Daddy. They were sitting at the breakfast table, People, guess what? Guess what? I am changing my name to a brand new, different name, and it is the loveliest name I ever heard of. Mother was feeding my baby brother named Ollie, and Daddy was reading his paper, and they did not pay attention to me. So I climbed up on my chair and I shouted my new name real loud. Pinky Gladys Gutzman. My new name is Pinky Gladys Gutzman. Just then, Daddy looked at me over the top of the paper, because now he was paying attention. Excuse me? Could you run that by me one more time, he asked. Your new name is Pinky Gladys what? I clapped my hands real happy. Gutzman, I shouted, very thrilled. Pinky Gladys Gutzman. And so from now on, everybody has to call me that, or else I will not even answer. Okay, Daddy? Okay? I hugged myself. Isn't it just the cutest name you've ever heard of? Because Pinky is the loveliest color I ever saw. Plus, Gladys Gutzman is the snack lady at school. And so who wouldn't want to be named after that woman? And that's what I would like to know. So again, it's a very sing-songy, it's very happy, very clever. She's very pleased with herself. She's not afraid to show it. And again, over and over again throughout the story, you're coming across these adventures from the perspective of a kindergartner. And again, what's lovely about this, especially if it's a child a little bit older than kindergarten, it's nice for them to kind of reflect back on how they felt when they were in kindergarten. And maybe even tell you, like, she shouldn't be thinking about that way. That's not how we think. So again, I think that this packs a lot of punch because it's a very fun story. It's a very quick read in the sense that the story moves along very quickly. There's lots of humor in the story, and I think it's also lots of touch points for conversation. Now, looking at what types of words are in the story and whether or not you would have to use your dictionary quite a lot. I would say for the most part, about 85% of it is easily sounded out. So again, I would say second grade, third grade should be able to do this without any problem. I mean, there are words such as contagious and excellent, things that maybe they've heard, but maybe they haven't seen it in print before. So again, those would be the things that maybe even if you were to read the chapter beforehand and maybe circle some of those words so we know that those are coming, then you could kind of get ahead of it. The other thing that I like to do is I like to have them first look up certain words in the dictionary so that they already have a sense of what it is before we get to the word. Also, pronouncing the words before we get there. So again, we have a little bit of an introduction to the word before we see it in the context of a story, right? And so there you go. I will always say that Junie B. Jones is 5 stars. I will say that there have been some in the past that don't really like some of the conversations that happen between the kids because they do get a little sassy. Sometimes they say the word shut up and those sorts of things. So if those are not necessarily words that you want to have your child reading, or you want to have a little bit of preemptive strike before they read those words, I'm giving you fair warning that they do have lots of conversations with kids in the classroom, and in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, there's a tendency to have that. Well, let's be honest, any of the grades to have that kind of conversation, and they do make a very realistic conversations that your kids probably have heard before. But I just wanted to give you a heads up that might be something you want to pay attention to. All right, so if there are any other chapter books you would like me to review, please make sure and put them down below. And as always, if you like this, please make sure and share it. And thanks so much for stopping by.